So before we get started with the CBD presentation, a lot of what you'll hear from me this evening and why these seminars are happening more and more often where we're talking about CBD and LDN is you're going to see a lot of similarities. A lot of similarities in the idea that you have one specific thing like LDN where you have CBD that works on so many different things within your system, within your body, where it's one thing designed to, in your mind, you would think is going to just target one specific ailment or one specific issue, but it's doing a lot of different things. So that's probably the interesting part of that synergistic crossover between both worlds. And then Brad, before touching on one specific thing at the end about that CBD and LDN kind of working within those specific, I guess, groups where they are providing a tremendous amount of support to a lot of different things where you're going to see so many different ailments that you face, and it's one specific product that's going to really benefit you overall. So I'm one of the owners of Imbue Botanicals. I'm also vice president of the company. But one of the things that I like to talk about when I do a seminar is I talk about this particular part right here, which is the differences of CBD in the market and how they're really affecting your body's receptors. That's another specific thing as well of where that CBD LDN crossover is, because Brad was talking about endorphins and the endorphins obviously leading to your body's receptors. CBD works in a similar way through what we call the ECS system and how it connects to those receptors. And you're going to see that through all of the presentation as we move on. But this particular point right here is where I start to build the framework so you guys understand what's happening in the space, because right now CBD is the shiny new toy in the room. Everybody's talking about it. It's popping up in convenience stores and gas stations and pharmacies, obviously, but it's everywhere. And one of the biggest things that everybody is really concerned with is, how do I know which product to buy? How do I know how much product I should be taking? When should I be taking it? And how are these products formulated? And what's the safest way for me to, be a part of the CBD space? Right off the bat, what you should really know is that, the cannabis space is really providing two specific plants that are in the industry, because there's a common misconception of where CBD is coming from. Is it going to get me high? Is it psychoactive? Where is it being extracted from? And to understand that is to first understand the cannabis space. So in the cannabis space, there are two specific plants. There is a cannabis hemp plant and there's a cannabis marijuana plant. They're polar opposites of each other. One of them produces a high amount of THC and then has all of these other active ingredients and cannabinoid profiles that sit below on the lower level part of that marijuana plant. And then on the hemp plant, you have very high content of CBD profile and then several other cannabinoid profiles, and THC being at the very low level in trace amounts. So what we're focused on this evening is CBD being extracted from the hemp plant. So it's a non-psychoactive product that we are formulating as a company, and what Brad carries in his pharmacy and the other pharmacies that are associated with Brad and his teams. But we're going to take you through what those products are actually in the market today. There are three really specific groups of CBD products that currently sit within the market. There are different extraction methods that also go along with those product groupings, but we like to identify which product that is currently sitting out there in the market that's available for you to buy, and what's going to provide me the most support and benefit, what's the healthiest for me to be taking, where my body's going to get the most support for my body's receptors, like that LDN, where it's working on so many different things within your body. When you're targeting one thing, how am I providing support to my system overall? So at the top, I put Imbue next to that top piece because we talk about what we're specifically doing through this presentation, but Imbue is a full spectrum CBD. And if you don't know what full spectrum means that when we're doing our extraction method from our hemp plants, we are getting all of those 113 plus active ingredients out of that plant. That's all of the cannabinoid profiles including CBD and all of the other guys that are with it, and even including THC. We're using the #1 rated extraction process in the industry, and what's commonly recognized with what we're doing as far as extraction is, if you understand anything about essential oils in our space, as far as how things are extracted, it's all being done through an ethanol cold press extraction. This method has been dubbed the RSO method in our space. It's called the Rick Simpson method. The Rick Simpson method because of a gentleman that really was trying to forge a path for people's health when they were talking about using specific cannabinoid profiles, THC mainly in this aspect, for patients that were suffering from cancer. So he designed this method because he wanted to make sure that he had the highest quality oil that he could put into his products to help fight the patient's cancer that he was helping treat. And he helped treat over 5,000 different patients with THC alone with this method. So we use this method because it allows us to protect and encapsulate all of those active ingredients that are coming out of that plant, which will mainly focus on our major receptor groups, CB1 and CB2 receptor groups. I'm just highlighting these things, and you guys will start to see it as it unfolds over the next few slides of why that makes sense. This is important to understand that first method because CO2 extracted full spectrum products is the next type of full spectrum product that you'll see out there in the market. Why we distinguish the two is very, very important. The CO2 extracted world is commonly seen actually in pharmaceutical space. And that's where the medications that sit behind the counter at a pharmacy are all designed off of is a CO2 extraction. It works extremely, extremely well in the pharmaceutical space because when they're breaking down that specific medicine to then create that product for you to take, it's because they're really getting hyper-focused to concentrate on specific receptor groups within your body so they can target that specific ailment that they're going after. We want all of it. We want to focus on balance within your body. We want to target, yes, one specific thing that's maybe out of alignment, but it's also providing support to your entire body in many different ways. So that's why our full spectrum is important. So when you do CO2 extraction, you're actually doing such a clean extraction process that you're stripping away a lot of the active ingredients and the nutrients and the terpenes and other cannabinoid profiles that are sitting within our oil at Imbue Botanicals, and that product will become less effective. So we want to make sure that our oil is effective, where CO2, because you're using heat and pressure and solvents and you're using liquid to gas, it's a very, very vulnerable and volatile oil that you want to make sure you take care of it. You want to make sure that you treat it properly so that it becomes as effective as you hope it will be. So that's really important to know. Those are the two major categories within the groupings. Broad spectrum is another very popular product that's hitting the market. Our broad spectrum products will be out in the next couple of weeks, but the broad spectrum products are important because it's all of the cannabinoid profiles minus the THC. THC is important, as you'll see on the next few slides, of why it's there, but broad spectrum is also an important product that's coming out into the market because of people that can't have THC in their body, whether it be their profession that they're in, whether they're a doctor, whether they're a CDL licensed driver, a military, police, firefighter, a Major League Baseball player, a football player, whatever it may be, that they can't have the THC in there, but they still want a lot of the benefits of what CBD has to offer to balance out their health or going after a specific ailment that they're trying to target. So broad spectrum products can also be extracted, whether it be CO2 and ethanol extraction. We're doing ethanol extraction as well there because we want the highest quality oil. Like I said earlier, when you see this ethanol extraction, that's what all essential oils that are out there in the market that are high quality are extracted from. So we stick within that guideline. The last category, which is the most common, which you will see in the convenience stores and the gas stations and the smoke shops and everywhere else around town that you see, which is by far the least effective product on the market, It is CBD isolate. This is also a CO2 extracted product. Now, this is literally what the pharmaceutical compound style product is, where once it's extracted and everything else has been stripped off of that oil, and it's leaving you with one single profile, is that pharmaceutical style compound, that crystal powder. That's what ends up being processed and developed. So that product is the cheapest, it's the most accessible, and it's the easiest to compound a product with, because you're just taking powder and you're adding it into an ingredient or delivery system for you to be able to take. But it is the least effective overall when we're talking about overall health benefits and balancing out your body. The other side to CBD isolate is it does play a role in the whole picture of what CBD does. The reason for that is because CBD is designed around the idea that every one of us are different. All of our bodies are different. And this is another synergistic thing with LDN, is that we're all different and we all metabolize things differently, and our diets are different, and certain things react differently within our system. So when I say this is because it's not one size fits all. There are different dosings, there are different product styles that are out there that are going to benefit each one of our bodies and how we react to products like these. So when you look at the isolate, it plays a role because there are other cannabinoid isolates that are coming out. The plant contains over 113 cannabinoid profiles. So you're talking about now isolating out certain profiles that have certain reactions to your body's development. So think about full spectrum. This is the easiest way to break it down. Think about full spectrum like a multivitamin. So when your doctor tells you you're low in iron, you're low in vitamin E, you're low in vitamin D, and you need something to kind of bring that balance for you, and he says, I want you to go take a multivitamin, Centrum, or whatever it may be. You go and take it. But he also might say to you, you're extra low in vitamin D, or you're extra low in iron. I want you to also take an additional iron pill on the side. And that's common with a lot of times when you start to see the vitamins and nutrients that your body might be lacking. So isolate world, which is starting to even grow further and further and further, where other products like CBG and CBN and CBC and CBV are coming out, is because these products will increase other profiles that are needed within your body. The interesting part about all of this is because when you are being developed, when you're in womb, the ECS system, which we're going to talk about next, is the first receptor group that's built in your body. This is a true fact, and it's a very real receptor system within your body. It's called the endocannabinoid system. This is a system that's made up of millions and millions of receptors within your body, and this is why full spectrum is important, because it makes a connection to this ECS system. It's a very scientific thing. It's not, what you would think in the cannabis world, this hippie voodoo stuff. There's real science behind it. It really works when you have a quality product and a proper formulation for these products to make a very true connection to this system. This image up here on the board is very, very relevant to now understanding these two major receptor groups and the three profiles that are making a real connection to those groups. You have one major profile group that's called CB1 receptor group. As you see right now, that THC key is directly connected to that group. It's important to understand why THC is sitting up there and why we use a trace amount of THC in our full spectrum products. We're not using an amount that can get you high or cause an ill effect to you. It's just a trace amount. It's the legal limit under the guidelines of the 2018 Farm Bill, the 2016 Omnibus Act, and the 2014 Farm Bill, and what the FDA and the DEA have deemed the legal amount that you're allowed to have in these products, which is, like I said, that 0.3% or less of dry weight. So we do have that trace amount in there because it's important that THC is connected to that CB1 receptor group. That trace amount will unlock that group. The CB1 receptor group is tied directly to your nervous system, and that's why it's important. You want that full unlock of that receptor group, and you want that reaction because you want it to start working together. you'll see now CBD sits in the middle. And CBD sits in the middle for a very, very specific reason. It bears the most benefit out of all of the profiles. It owns the most of the pie. It carries the most weight from pulling from CB1 and CB2, and that's why it sits in the middle. But you need it there as well. And then sitting below, which is keyed in directly to the CB2 receptor group, is a profile that's called CBN. These three major profiles, along with the others, but these three specific, are what give you the full unlock of the CB1 and CB2 receptor groups, which they call the entourage effect. And that's what's important here. This is when your body starts to literally balance out by taking these products. Now, if you have something that is completely unaligned, and it focuses on getting that specific ailment or issue or concern, whether it be pain or inflammation, MS or rheumatoid arthritis or Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, whatever you're targeting, it's going to work very hard because it's a full spectrum product and working with your body's receptors to shift those things back over. But while it's doing that, it's also providing a tremendous amount of support to your body just in general, whether it be your immune system, calming your body down, whether it be your brain or your body just overall, so that you can bring balance to your system. And that's why these three are very important and focusing on these two major receptor groups. The other part of what you learn from full spectrum is that our body has 5 other subcategory receptor groups that sit within this ECS system. If you are using an isolate product, you do not get to attach to these receptor groups. It will not have any bearing effect on them at all. And if you're using a broad spectrum product, you'll get the majority of it. But full spectrum is really what you want to achieve the health support that your body really needs. But these 5 other subcategory receptor groups play a major role in basically sectioning out certain parts of your body or your organs or your nerves or other things that are going on in your system that need to be targeted through these cannabinoid profiles. And it makes sense now when you see this next slide of why it's important. You'll see up here, this is the major profiles that sit within that hemp plant when we extract our oil. You have major profile CBD, obviously, which sits in the forefront, which is, like I said, the most commonly one that you're hearing about. You're always hearing about CBD, CBD, but you're not hearing about full spectrum, and you're not hearing about broad spectrum. They're just using CBD as that signal that you can directly relate to. So it owns the biggest piece of that pie, where you're talking about affecting things like antibacterial, reducing inflammation, helping out with sugar levels and seizures and bone growth and all these other things that CBD is doing on its own. But then you start to look about CBDA and CBG and CBGA and CBN, and you go around this pie chart and you'll see that each one are working on specific ailments. So if you break them apart, they all have their own grouping of benefits. But the idea here is when you push the pie back together, they work better in harmony and together. When they're working together, they're more effective. They will have more power to fight whatever is specifically bothering you or whatever is out of alignment. And that's why it's important to understand the differences between full spectrum, broad spectrum, and isolate. And you could start to get the picture about why these profiles are so powerful, why they're so important, why they make such a real connection to this ECS system and working with your body's receptors. And this starts to talk a lot more about the idea of LDN and CBD being synergistically connected, because we're doing a lot of the same things. We're working through 2 different types of receptor groups, but at the end of the day, there's one single product that's working so hard to do so many different things within your body. And Brad, what he was talking about at the end about, when you're taking LDN with other medications and you've seen the benefits increase, the same thing works with the world of CBD and LDN. If CBD and LDN are working together, they will provide more and more support by working together instead of just separately within your body if you're just taking one or the other. So if you're taking them together, they're going to provide you a lot more support. There's one last thing before we jump into Imbue, and I give you the full overview of who we are, why we primarily work with independent pharmacies and doctors and practitioners, is this one last little piece that we talk about. And this is an important thing to know as well when you start to understand what full spectrum products are. I won't stay on it too long, but if you're familiar with the word terpene, you'll understand a little bit about what terpenes are. What's commonly tied back to the world of terpenes is if you understand what botanicals as far as plants, anything to do with fruits or vegetables, they all provide terpenes within those specific, like I said, those specific products. Terpenes are not just flavor profiles, if you know what a terpene actually is. So when you cut open a lemon, that little spritz in the air that you see and that smell, that's the terpene from that lemon. But that terpene that's coming out of that lemon or out of that orange or out of the rosemary or mint or whatever it is that you are eating or taking or putting in your tea, whatever it is, it provides other support. It provides other benefits. All of our products have these terpene profiles sitting within them. So that means that you're getting extra benefits not only from the cannabinoid profiles from our products, but you're also getting benefits from these terpene profiles. There's 8 major terpene profiles that sit within a hemp plant that provide support to your immune system, that provide support to bacteria fighting capabilities. They help with anxieties, they help with relieving pain, they help with inhibiting cancer growth or cancer cell growth, appetite suppressants. There's a ton of things that are coming along with these terpenes as well, like anti-inflammatory. And these pieces are as important as some of the other things that are in a quality product like Imbue. So this is not, like I said, something we have to stick on too much, but just something that that when you guys go to the grocery store and you buy raw ginger or you're buying raw turmeric, whatever it may be that you're purchasing, when you're buying those raw materials, there is a lot of benefit beyond the world of the artificial world, because natural is kind of where you want to be, and that's why we'll jump into the Imbue part now. One of the things that we've done at Imbue is we've focused on 3 major things. We've focused on our purity and our quality of what we're doing every single day. We've focused on our extractions and our formulations, and we focus on our education. We know that this space is more and more every day becoming more saturated by companies popping up out of nowhere and just throwing products up on the shelf, like I said earlier, the gas stations and the convenience stores, just to get a product out there and sell and make a buck, because, like I said, it's the shiny new toy in the room. But we focused from the very beginning on those 3 major things, because we are really sitting here at the forefront helping people's health from every aspect, whether it's just balancing out their immune system or maintenance for everyday use, or if they're targeting one specific ailment that's really affecting their everyday life. We want to be a education provider and a leader in our space, and show that these products, they do provide real support when they're properly designed, and when they're properly discussed. There is a product that works for each and every one of us, and there's a process that goes along with it, and finding the right product for yourself and the right dosing. But we want to be involved in those discussions and help guide our partners and our patients and our customers to make sure that they're on the right path to bettering their health. So at Imbue, we are an all Colorado company. We grow all of our hemp in Colorado. We grow our hemp at 7,600 feet. We do it purposely because we get a lot of UVA light at that height. UVA light is really important when you're growing hemp, because you're getting a lot more of that sunlight to drive up the terpenes, and you're driving up the trichomes and the potency of that plant. That oil will come out super potent and effective, and we want to focus on the highest quality oil that we're extracting from those plants. We are 100% organic, we're non-GMO, we're gluten-free, we're vegan, we're cruelty-free, earth-friendly company. We do everything on the utmost level. We have no additives and no fillers and no byproducts. It's really important when we start to talk about the quality of products, because the more things that you add into this oil that do not work properly together will change the effectiveness of the products. It'll change the effectiveness of the oil. You'll damage it, you'll change the molecular structure. You want it to stay as natural as it possibly can so it can make the proper connection to your body. We are not a CO2 extracted product, as I mentioned earlier. We're an ethanol extracted product. We're doing technical cutting edge extraction methods beyond just that ethanol extraction. We're making sure that we're always doing small batch extractions, and we want to make sure that our oil is always over 73% in our extraction process. Because of our ingredients that we're using, we have to have the right percentage levels of our CBD content in all of our products. We own the chain of custody from seed to shelf. That's really important when you start to understand, who's running the show with that product line, who's running, the process from, when the time that product is being developed to the time it hits the shelf, and is it ever leaving somebody's site, or are you just calling up, a processing center and saying, I just want to, order a product and throw a label on it and call it my own. You want to know that the product is always in the hands of the company that's producing it, all the way from beginning to end. So we own that chain of custody, and we do 7 different C of A's, and that's really important as well. That's certificates of analysis. That's the testing that we do from beginning to end. So we're doing testing at the farm where we're doing tissue and soil samples on all of our plants. We do microbial, residual, potency. We do spectrum testing. We do arsenics and metals and pesticides, and we're also doing full profile terpene testings as well. So we're giving you the full gamut on all of the testing levels, because it's really important to know that when you buy a product that sits on the shelf and has information on the back with a QR code and a batch number where these products are being developed, how they're being formulated, and what's the testing that sits behind it, that it's a third-party tested group that is making sure that these products are at the utmost level of quality and formulations, and the products that are in here really say that they're in here, because it's important for those aspects of making sure the product is quality. Also, understanding the hemp plant is really important because it's a cleaner plant. It sucks up everything from the ground and everything from the air. That's why we choose Colorado as well. Colorado's soil, water, and everything around it with the air itself is the cleanest in this country to grow hemp. It just is unbelievable quality, and it gives us an unbelievable oil for our products. So it's another big reason why we use Colorado as a source for our hemp. So I have a lot of products that we have developed as a company, and I won't go through each and every one and bore you out with each one, but what we've done at our company is we've developed over 41 different SKUs. It's probably the broadest line in the industry, and we've done it though specifically because we've focused on working with independent pharmacies, compounding pharmacies, doctors, practitioners, naturopaths, integrative medicine groups, and we've done that because we want to make sure that every single group that we work with in that medical professional field has a product for their patients and their customers. And it's really important because of why we partnered with groups like Brad and many other compounding pharmacies and independents around the country, that we're giving them, an array of products because, like I said earlier, CBD is not one size fits all. It is where every single one of us are different. Even if we have the same ailment, it could be a different product that we're taking. We all metabolize differently. We all absorb things and break things down differently. Your diet does matter as well. So if you're lacking in certain vitamins or nutrients within your body, it can play a role in how these products will work for you. So with our education program and why we partnered up specifically with these specific partners like Brad and others is because the education piece that they're able to provide you. So we give education as far as manuals and dosing charts and those laminated charts of those pieces in the front, those first 4 or 5 slides. for them to discuss with you, because they'll be able to walk you through the process. It's not just come in the store, I heard that I need to take the highest milligram possible for the product to do good for me. And that is a common misconception in the space. When you walk into a store and you see a bottle on the shelf that says 5,000 milligrams of CBD, that is a CBD isolate. And also your body cannot take and absorb the amount of CBD that bottle potentially has in it for isolate in one day or broken out over several days anyway, and be effective for your system. Your body does have thresholds like most things, and when you take too much of CBD isolate within one day, your body can plateau off and be less effective. So you want to make sure that you're actually taking the right balance of milligrams of full spectrum CBD within a day so that you can get the right effects for your body. So we do have different types of tinctures and we have different types of capsules where we have 5 and 10 and 25 milligrams in capsules. We have 500, 250 and a 500 milligram 2 fluid ounce bottle of the blue tincture. We have 100 milligram, we have a 40 milligram, and we also have a 750 milligram that will be coming out in January. And the broad spectrum products, if you can have THC in your body, whether it be a human resources nightmare, or you have military, police, firefight, whatever it may be, that we do have broad spectrum products that Brad will be carrying in the next week or so that you guys will have available to you. Which will be a 300 and a 600 milligram tincture, and then a 15 and a 30 milligram capsule as well. And then we have a whole line of topicals that work extremely well from a topical standpoint. One of the things that we talk about as well when you start to talk about these products from an ingestible standpoint and a topical standpoint is that when you take the products together, when you use them together, they are much more beneficial. And this now starts to talk about which ailment that you're targeting. If something is on the topical side of things, it starts from within first, right? So we want to take the ingestible so that we can combat anything that's happening. And a lot of things that happen on the outside of your body are all attributed to an inflammation issue that's going on inside. And that goes all tied back to an autoimmune disorder when you start to look at things like psoriasis or eczema or shingles, even things that tie back to MS or rheumatoid arthritis. Specifically where you are getting inflammation issues and concerns that are happening inside your body and developing issues that may happen on the outside of your body. So we use things in combination a lot. And there's a real attack and approach here, because to understand also what CBD is doing inside your body is really important too, because CBD has a half-life of 24 to 48 hours. It's not like THC, where you take THC and then it's in your body for 30 days, no matter what. If you've tried it once and it's there for 30 days, you may not be getting any more effect from it. You're not going to be high for 30 days, but once you take it, it's in there. With CBD, it's in and out of your system every 24 to 48 hours. But there is a period within your body where these products have an effectiveness rate. And this is where we get into the discussion of, is it going to be a tincture or a capsule for myself? And that's important to know as well. There are 3 different levels of how these products can go into your system and be effective. We know that when you inhale something, it's the quickest reaction, but it's the shortest lasting. There are CBD vape cartridges out there in the market. We do even make them. We don't have them here, but we also know that when you do a tincture, you're going to have a shorter amount of time, a longer amount of time before it reacts, maybe 10 minutes where it starts to work, but you're going to have a longer amount of time where it's actually being effective within your system. Because when you smoke something, it's probably about 3 to 4 hours, and when you're now putting a tincture in your mouth, it may be around 4 to 6 hours. With the capsules, it may take 30 minutes for it to start working within your body, but it's going to have a longer effectiveness rate. It will be 6 to 8 hours, possibly even more. So we talk about what is the right product for me. We've seen people where they like the tinctures because they're versatile. You can titrate up and you can titrate down. You can microdose yourself throughout the day, or you can do half in the morning and half at night. It's very versatile. So it allows you to attack certain things at certain times throughout the day and give yourself a consistent amount of balance, or you just want to separate things out throughout the day. With the capsule, the idea is one and done, right? You throw it in and that's it. But it will give you a longer amount of time. So we always like, when we talk about the capsules, being for more chronic concerns, longer, more persistent things that are happening within your body, things that are plaguing you every single day when you wake up or when you go to bed at night, that it's just always seemingly there. This is a great way to balance out and attack those issues, because you're getting a great amount of, drive towards, that 8 hours or 6 hours of being, effective for those issues. The topicals, simple, they're used as needed, opposed to the idea of ingestibles where you do have to take them every day. The idea here is not, it's not like aspirin, where if you have a headache, you take it when you have the headache. It's something where you need to take it every day. It's a lifestyle. CBD is a lifestyle and how it works with your body, because it wants to make a full connection, just like LDN is every day, a full connection to your body's receptors, and it allows it to really push and drive towards balancing out your body's receptors and bringing what we call in our space homeostasis to everything. We want calmness. We ultimately are saying that CBD is really great for calming your body down in every aspect. So if you look at the majority of ailments or things that we face, it's based on agitation. Your body's pissed off and it's fighting against each other, and you need to target things specifically, right? So that's how medicine is designed. So if you have a headache, you take aspirin for your headache. And if you have backache, you take something that helps your back or your stomach or whatever it may be, but you're targeting something specific. But we want to try to fight and eliminate that, right? Just right off the bat. So let's bring balance to the system overall, so we can just consistently, keep things in line. And that's the idea and design behind full spectrum CBD. And that's why it's important to include it into your life. It's not like if you have an ailment, then you take it. It's good to take it anyway. It's not going to harm you. It's only going to help you. You're not going to be running around thinking you're high and eating everything in sight. And it's not the way that it works. It's all about just taking something that's going to provide support to your body, that you don't have to worry about, side effects or, take this medicine because your arm hurts, but it's, I promise it's going to take care of whatever's bothering your arm, but your liver may bleed, your head may pop off, and everything else may come along with this medication. It's not designed that way. And that's what's scary about pharmaceuticals today, is that PPI list that comes on top of those bottles is growing and growing and growing. And we want to eliminate that world, right? We want to navigate around that space, and we want to be able to provide a healthy alternative that can really help you every single day with a very low impact to your world of making you feel like, if I'm going to take this, am I going to be drowsy? Well, it's not like dopamine for somebody who has Parkinson's, where they need the dopamine, but they don't want to take it, but they want to be able to function, but they can't because they're in a chair. So it's, no, let me calm your mind down, let me calm your body down, but let me allow you to be functional. So that's the whole purpose, is you need to take a look at it that way. Is this is an everyday healthy alternative or additive to your lifestyle that can better each and every day for you, when you have a product that has been properly designed, properly formulated, and clean, and can really provide some support to your body. We do go a stretch further in our products. We do offer beauty products as well. We offer massage oils, and then, as Brad said at the end of his presentation, we do offer products for our furry little friends. The beautiful thing about our pet products, is that they're formulated exactly the same way that we do our people products. There's nothing different. The label is different. So if you bought a pet product and took it yourself, I promise nothing will be different. You may bark a little bit at night, but it's exactly the same. And that's what's really nice about our company, just in general, is we're focused on that quality of care for people or pet in the same matter. We all have pets in our company, and we absolutely adore them and love them, and that's really why we have this product line available. We even have equine products as well. We're probably a very small percentage in the industry that offers equine products. They are actually extremely well received in the space. You obviously can't give right now under guidelines any horse that's racing or in competition because of that trace amount of THC that's in there. But from, if you own any horses or any, pet horses, whatever it may be, it is an extremely good product, very high powered. The salves are excellent. And excuse me, I'm sorry. But just like I said earlier, when we start to talk about how this comes full circle for us is that it's about the education and it's about providing our partners and our customers with the knowledge and the tools, as Brad was mentioning with LDN, just so you guys are informed and you know and you understand what's out there in the market. If you choose Imbue, we love it. We thank you and we appreciate it. If you don't, please do your homework. Please look, because it is important. It is important to go out there and make sure that whatever you're putting in your body on a daily basis is safe for you and you're not going to be harmed or affected. I will promise you and tell you that in the 4 years that we've been doing this and built this company, that we have an unbelievable reputation in the space and we do things at the highest level. And we are a great company to be a part of and products to take and be a part of your life. And we would love for you guys to be in that space with us. We are offering 20% off tonight on these products at the seminar. So if you guys have any interest in purchasing, whether it be an ingestible or a topical, it is available for you. And that's really it. We appreciate you guys coming out tonight. Very happy that Brad and his team had me out here. It's been a great partnership so far, and we're here to support you guys in anything that you need.
Questions? Yes, ma'am.
Did I sleep through the definition of the name, or did you tell us how you got that name?
Oh, Imbue Botanicals? Yeah, right. That would be nice. Yeah, we're Imbue. So it's a Native American word, and it's basically a positive energy word, so it's to permeate. But it's been birthed by my partner Tom. He's a lot of the him and my other partner Paul are a lot of the brains behind the marketing and the packaging of this. Tom, also my partner, has had 20 plus years in the pharmaceutical space. So when we developed this whole entire company and the product line, we really understood formulations. We really understood what was going on in the market, how to approach the market, how to make sure that these products were going to be designed at the highest level, the safest, and everything that we were going to do as a company. So I give those guys the credit for the packaging design, and the name for sure is Tom's.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm taking 1,800 milligrams of gabapentin a day. Now, if I do that, do I use that on top of the pills I'm taking, or?
Yeah, I would never suggest that you stop anything that your physician or medical practitioner has ordered you. So I would say in your case, it would be a natural extension for you to consider trying. I'm going to guess Chris will back me up that you'd probably want to look at a higher strength oral ingestible, like a capsule, probably the 25 milligram once a day to start. Mm-hmm. And you would still use your prescription medication. And then what I would suggest you do is that together we could reevaluate how you do over the course of a couple weeks and then talk with your provider to see if it warrants possibly reducing your dose. So I wouldn't want anyone to throw caution to the wind and totally make a jump to LDN or CBD without making sure that
you consult.
Yeah, but it's a fair question. And in all honesty, there's data that suggests too, I mentioned the study with LDN and depression medication. There's research out there that suggests that taking a Zoloft or Prozac with the CBD could be equally as beneficial as an LDN. And it's that synergistic which you mentioned. Could you do it one of those products, either one alone? Maybe, I don't know, but it's possible that, one thing I didn't touch on in my talk with LDN, people that are suffering with chronic pain that are taking narcotics like OxyContin.
I was just going to say this.
I sat down and realized I missed this whole part, but there are people that can still benefit from LDN even though it's a opioid blocker in very low doses. So if you think of, I don't know. Nobody probably likes the metric system. But if you think of 5,000, okay, if you think of 5,000, low dose naltrexone 5 milligrams would be 5,000 micrograms, okay? But we're seeing patients that can benefit from taking 1 microgram of low dose naltrexone and still combine it with their opioid therapy to get some benefit for pain control, and then they're slowly able to titrate up to maybe 2 or 5 or 10 micrograms, and they're able to lower their opioid dose. Maybe eliminate it, but they could certainly lower that burden.
Well, you were saying how hard the gabapentin is on your digestive system.
It is, yeah.
You want to also, when you're taking an opioid and you're taking LDN, or same even for CBD, because CBD also has the ability to block your opioid receptors, you want to take your medicines at different times, right? So you would take your opioid in the morning and your LDN at night, or vice versa. Because you're blocking it, you still want, if you're taking an opioid, and even if you're weaning off, you still want to be able to get the effect, right? Because you don't want the withdrawal, and you don't want to all of a sudden feel pain that you're trying to block, right? So you have to be very careful in how you go about that process, and that works in both of our worlds, right? So these discussions and conversations, you'll see now, this is where the crossover is extremely, common in the two. Yep.
What form does the LDN come in? Is it like a liquid, a capsule?
Good question. Generally, we compound them in capsules. Liquids are also an opportunity to. The only problem with liquid is the stability. So, a capsule can be good based on our medical guidelines for 6 months. A liquid, you're probably going to be limited to between 14 and 30 days. So the capsules are effective. They're easy to change. I mean, we can customize the dose to almost any strength. It's just a matter of dialing it in. So very good question. But there's autistic children who can't do capsules. They have texture issues. So liquids are natural for them. So good question.
We have gummies too as well, like even autistic children can use gummies. But with dosing as well with us, because I mentioned earlier how we all metabolize and how we're all different and what those dosings are. And in the world of LDN, it comes in the same form as where you have to dial in your dosing. There is a little bit of feel that goes throughout this process. You may hit it right off the bat where you found 25 milligrams, boom, and it works wonderful. But sometimes you might have to go through a little bit of process of saying, okay, I'll start at 10, I have to go up to 25, maybe it's a little lower. There is a little bit of that because you can overshoot your dose. You can find a sweet spot that works really well for you, where a 5 milligram might work wonderful for me, where you might need a 10 milligram. It's balancing out. You do have to go through that a little bit.
Any other questions? Yes.
Are the CBD products FDA approved?
Are the CBD products FDA approved? So right now the FDA has not literally taken every single product from every single company and have gone through, this specific product is approved, but the actual just CBD products in general are FDA approved by the 2018 Farm Bill, right? So the FDA doesn't create law, they only enforce it. So once the 2018 Farm Bill was written and that CBD was removed from the Schedule 1 Controlled Substance Act, and hemp was allowed to be grown across the entire country, and all products that are developed have to follow, the requirements and be compliant, have their C of A's and chain of custody and everything in line, and not go over 0.3% or, of THC, then your products are deemed acceptable by the FDA. Food and drink, though, no.
Yes, sir.
With regard to the CBD, if you're taking a low dose opioid like a Norco 5-325, by increasing the CBD dose, might you completely make that ineffective?
So you're going to want to do, like I said, where you're balancing out your dosing times, where you're taking your opioid at one point and then your CBD at another. So you don't want to take them together.
So that will prevent.
It's not going to fully block it like an LDN would, but CBD, because it does have that effect to block that opioid receptor, it's just going to make that opioid much, much less effective.
Okay, and if you would go from like your 100 to 250, also cause a greater blocking of that, right?
Well, it's your timing though. It's your specific timing. That's why I said you really want to make sure that if you are taking your opioid for something specific, you want to make sure that you're spreading out your dosing so that you're not affecting the time of which that opioid is working for you, right? So you want to make sure that you're rotating your dosing right.
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing and found that effective.
Okay.
Mainly because I use a tincture and it works very quickly and
Wonderful.
you appreciate that.
That's great. That's great. That's wonderful.
Yes, ma'am.
As far as the CBD is, which would be the best for treating anxiety?
So yeah, no, it's a great thing. So depends on how your anxiety is. Is it something that it's all day long, like where you feel anxious all day long? Or is it, when you get into specific situations where, oh my God, I don't want to deal with this specific moment. Myself, and that you brought it up and we were talking about this earlier, when we started this company and the products were being developed, prior to that, since I was 17 years old, up until I was about 39 years old, I've been taking alprazolam, Xanax. And it wasn't an everyday thing, but it was enough where it was frequent within maybe 5 days a week, where I felt like I needed, whether it was a half or a whole, in a situation, or it helped me maybe go to sleep a little bit because I was a little too anxious. I would never have been able to stand up here years ago and speak. That's the kind of way that my mind was geared. So immediately I took, the 25 milligram capsule, and I took this for about 2.5 years. And I took it every single day, and I started to slowly see over the course of the first 4 months that I was weaning myself off of Xanax. And to the point where after 5 months, I hadn't taken a Xanax, and then up for 2.5 years, plus after that. So then once I felt comfortable enough after taking the 25 milligrams, because now I was really charging at it and balancing out my body, now I'm on a 10 milligram capsule every day, if not a 5. I mean, I play around with it because now I just can take it whenever, but I got myself to a place where it was more maintenance for me than anything. And I think that's going back to my point earlier, is if you take these products consistently, and whatever your ailment level is, you might have to be on something stronger for a while, but once you get to a point, it becomes maintenance for yourself because you've gotten your receptors balanced. It's the idea that your receptors are, whether it's overactive or underactive, you're bringing them up and down to balance, or even if something's turned off, you're trying to get it to turn back on and start the engine up. And that's what it was for me. I needed time to push to balance it out, and now I'm like on a maintenance dose. So it really depends on, is this something that's persistent with you, where it's kind of feeling that all day long anxiety, or is it just is it coming on out of nowhere? So if it was all day, I would say capsules are unbelievable for it. And if it's something where you're in a position where it's a moment of it happening, tinctures are wonderful for that because it's quicker reacting and it can calm you down quicker. Even our gummies are unbelievably good. We have a 5 and a 10 milligram gummy. They're all natural plant-based gummies. They're all natural terpenes, so they're really lovely. But you do have options. So it just depends on which type it is for you. And we can talk about that more offline if you want, and we'll get you,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
With the tincture, how do you know what strength? 40, 100, 155,000?
So with the strengths, kind of going back to the idea that it's slight to moderate to extreme is the first way I approach it, right? So we have 5, 10, 25 milligram capsules, then we have 40, 100, 250, 500 in the tinctures. And the first thing I talk about always with dosing is, what level are you at? What's the level of anxiety, or what's the level of pain, or what are you facing? And then if it's in that 5 to 7 area, I usually go middle of the road, just to be kind of comfortable with the idea that I have the ability to go down. I also have the ability to go up. If it's something that's a real severe issue, I typically throw the book at it because I want to fight harder to get realignment. But I go off first that that level of pain or level of issue that you're dealing with, and then it helps, as more of a conversation happens. And that's another reason why, Brad and his team and the partners that we work with, that the education and the support and the knowledge is there, and why we do in-service trainings for the staff and things, so that they can have a conversation with you and walk you through it, because it's not a, oh, you're 7 and here you go, try this. And it's not like that. They can work with you, and I can work with you, obviously, but there's a conversation that does take place, and just walking through some of those simple questions that I would ask you, and then getting you kind of on that right path. But I would start first by saying, what level is it to you? Where is your concern level or ailment that's bothering you? And then, is it a capsule or a tincture? Is it something that's all day? Is it something that's, when intermittently? And then we find that, that pathway for you. And like I said, the tinctures can be, preference to people, versatile. Versus someone just, that wakes up in the morning and they're fine taking a vitamin or a capsule and they just want to forget about it. There is preference as well. But I'll be more than happy to talk with you and understand a little bit more what you're trying to target, if you would like.
Yes.
There has to be, I would think, some knowledge of the duration of activity of these products. I mean, yes, no, or, whenever I take a prescription drug, and I've taken a few at my time, I want to know how long that product's going to last in my body. I realize that's dose related maybe with these products. Yeah, any idea?
Yeah, so earlier I would mention that CBD has a half-life of 24 to 48 hours.
Okay.
It has an effectiveness period that the product actually is designed to work and targeting those specific receptors to calm them down. There are 3 different levels of when you are going through that process, where if you smoke something, it's the quickest reaction, shortest lasting. If you put something under your tongue, like a tincture, it's going to take maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes longer for it to react, but it will last longer than inhaling something. Maybe it's not 4 hours, it's 4 to 6 hours. Then there's another period in which the capsules are going to take 30 minutes to kick in, but it's going to last 6 to 8 hours. Now, this all happens on bioavailability, right? This is how these products are designed to make sure that you actually have that absorption that happens within your system. So going back to the tinctures for a moment, we don't use MCT oils and coconut oils. The 90% of the industry uses that because it's cheap, it's accessible, and more than 90% of the products that are out there have all been CO2 extracted. CO2 extraction will strip out all of the fatty acids and lipids that come within these products. And they typically use an MCT, which is a medium chain triglyceride, or coconut oil, or an olive oil, because it has that fatness, that fatty lipids in it. And they put it back in so that your body will absorb that fat along with the CBD. Because CBD, when it's extracted properly, has natural fatty acids, lipids, and other nutrients and compounds that are in there that you want from the natural state. So we use an all-natural vegetable glycerin that's derived from a pygmy palm fruit. It's not palm oil, it's palm fruit. So we're extracting it from that vegetable glycerin. It's kosher, and it has a natural sugar in it. What does your body absorb first? Sugar. What does your body break down last? Fat. So we want quick absorption, quick bioavailability, quick reaction. The vegetable glycerin is also water-based. What's your body made up of mostly? Water. We want to target those things so that when our products are being taken, we get that reaction. That's why we're doing things different. The other 90% are not.
Blood sugar problems if you're a diabetic?
So, great question. We always suggest that you do your normal testing if you choose to go with the tincture, because it does have that natural sugar in it. But we typically see people who have diabetic issues will sway towards the capsules. Yes.
Okay, I have a couple questions. One, with the capsules, do they open up just from, like, say, a standpoint, if someone doesn't want to take the capsule, could they, like, open it up and put it in their alcohol?
You could.
Okay,
Yeah, yes.
saw the
Yeah, we've had people even use our tincture in tea because it has the sweetener in it, like the sweetness, so they'll put it in their tea. We've seen that. As long as your tea doesn't go over 140 degrees.
The other thing, I was, if you can maybe just clarify the tincture to everyone, how, for example, if there's like a 250 milligram one, it's not like they're getting.
Yes, yeah. No, good point. Good point.
Like when I first learned about it, I was kind of.
No, that's a great point.
Capsule, or, you know?
No, that's a great point. So with the capsules, you have 30 in a bottle. 30 in a bottle. They're 25 milligrams per capsule, or 10 milligrams per capsule, 5 milligrams per capsule. So the 25 milligram would be 750 milligrams in that bottle. You eat all of them, 750 milligrams. You wouldn't do that though. You go to sleep. So don't do that. The tinctures, because it says 500 milligrams, it's in a 1 fluid ounce bottle, 30 ml. You break it out and divide it. So on the back, it will tell you your dosing. So 1 full dropper on a 500 milligram is 16.67, how it divides and breaks out, per full dropper. That's 16.67 milligrams per dropper. There are tick marks on the droppers, so you know that if you wanted to do, a quarter, a half, a whole, whatever it is on there. So, great question though. Thank you.
Along that line, when you say a half a dropper, I think one of the instructions, is that supposed to be a half a milliliter? Or physically half the
A full dropper is 1 milliliter. Because there's 30 mLs. Yep.
That's a little confusing on that.
I can't tell you how many times we've been told about the confusion about tinctures in our space. It's crazy, and we all do the same thing. We try to make it as simple as possible by like breaking it out and showing the dosing amount, the amount per bottle, and then the tick marks. We try to, but because it's liquid, you have different like standard for like measuring. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
The science thing is depending on what you're measuring, if it's a water and oil or whatnot, it's got different specific gravity and displacement. And so
it's been confusing though for 4 years.
Made it hard for everyone.
They made it,
including us.
They made it very hard.
Yeah.
Question back here about insurance coverage on these products.
Yeah.
Do you take this product on an empty stomach?
So no, it's two great questions. So the only way that you're going to see insurance coverage within this world is the pharmaceutical processed way, right? So there are products that are out there on the market. It's called Epidiolex, and this is how screwy pharmaceutical companies are. Is where they took isolate, going back to the isolate, right? They took isolate, and because they wanted to get it patented specific for a pharmaceutical drug and approved by the FDA as a drug, what they did is they added in certain additives and fillers and whatever they do to pharmaceuticals, and they said, we're going to target 2 specific seizures. That's it. But they don't target the other ones anymore. So that's the weird part about it, because CBD alone is targeting any specific epileptic seizure, whether it's 1 variation or 7 different. But they're going to break it down and synthesize it down into just 2. So that was their way of getting it into that pharmaceutical / pathway to health insurance. The crappy part about that is, and
it works.
It does have effects, but now you're creating side effects because of synthetics that are added back in. But here's the crappiest part about it, and I'm sorry I'm being taped. It's $1,200 a month. Okay? It's $24,000 a year, and they make money on that through insurance, where you can have the best stuff in the world and all of the effects and benefits and good stuff and no side effects and no synthetics for a lot less, for whether it be $800 a year. It's just, it's incredible. if they'll find some way to squeeze $1 out of a rock, they would. I'm telling you. But yes, going back now to the taking it on an empty stomach. The tinctures obviously doesn't matter because it's absorbing in right up in your mouth, your throat area, you're fine. Capsule now, I always tell somebody, just because of the whole idea of the world of the fish oils and the, you know how it can go. You take it on an empty stomach and you burp, you're going to taste fish oil. So I always say take it with a piece of bread or your dinner or your food just to get it where it's covered and coated, just so your belly doesn't, everyone's belly's weird, I mean, I know mine is. Just take it with a little food. It'll make you feel better.
And to speak to insurance coverage for low dose naltrexone, we do have some patients that have commercial coverage. Medicare Part D won't cover it, but they don't really cover any custom compounded medications. But again, you're looking at about $45 roughly a month. So
Which is awesome.
Sometimes that's like a brand name non-preferred copay. So it's some people it's the same as their copay. But
And the beauty about the LDN part of it is, and why they also, compounding pharmacies, understand our space so well, is that they do medicine clean, right? Compounding pharmacies, to me, is a gift to our country because pharmaceutical companies give you medicine beaten up. Compounding pharmacies give you medicine clean, and that is so important. And then you look at LDN and how that's coming from the compounding pharmacies, you know that it's quality, clean medicine and it's safe, good for you. And these guys would never, they always focus on their quality and their formulation. So they're doing something that is at a higher level than any other pharmaceutical company is going to actually do for you. So, yes, sir.
Okay, if you're working with dopamine receptors, Parkinson's or addiction, do you approach it with the high dose and then titrate down, like you explained?
Yeah, so I specifically know too well about this. My cousin is going through a tremendous battle right now with Parkinson's at a young age. And if I told you the amount of dopamine he's on, you'd flip out. And he's right now struggling really bad with the balance of it. He's right now in this world of the 25, and he needs more. He needs he needs 50 milligrams to maybe 100 milligrams a day at where he's at. You'll see that common in high levels of people who are suffering from MS at the highest level. Fibromyalgia can be really, really beat you up, But with what he's going through right now is he's trying to balance it. He's trying to find the right groove for him because he has to take it so much throughout the day.
Does it help him to stay out of the roller coaster?
That's what we're trying to do right now with him. Yeah, we're doing the balancing act right now. But it's a great question because when he's not on the dopamine so much, he's so much more aware, but he's not doing well. So we're trying to make sure that point is where we're interjecting there, and then we're trying to just kind of overlap a little bit, you know what I mean, to try to get him on that cycle, and then hopefully we'll be able to get his levels lower, because we can't just pull away, everything right now, and his doctor is obviously involved. So we're just trying to get him on the right path first to have him to take less of the dopamine, and if we have to increase this, we will, but he's going to be in that 50 to maybe even 100 milligrams a day of.
Okay, question for him. Would you use LDN in conjunction?
I don't see why not, because you're kind of in that approach. You would kind of be like, if you've ever taken anything for high blood pressure, they might give you more than one medication because they work by different mechanisms. Mm-hmm. So you'd get the complement of the endocannabinoid system and that entourage effect, and then you get those
endorphins
and the toll-like receptors and those things. So you could almost attack it both ways, and in theory, it should complement each other.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm getting from
And
the meeting here.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would be.
I mean,
It'd be a low risk test. It just would take A little bit of
I mean, you
education,
got
a
it.
little bit of trial and error.
You got to
And that part
imagine.
can be frustrating, but
Yeah, you got to imagine that Michael J. Fox, because he's a huge supporter of CBD and what he's currently doing and going through, and you've got to imagine that his day consists of both, right? Because of how aggressive his ailment took him on at a very young age and where he is currently. I think LDN would do amazing for him,
yeah.
because he's already doing two things. I mean, at a certain point, you start to just think what you need to do to make it work for yourself, and what's going to give you a quality of life. And if it means trying other things or combining other things, you got nothing to lose.
Comparing it with a blood test, raising the endorphins, will that also raise the creatinine? What is low?
I don't know. I would have to get back to you on that. I don't know about the liver effects. So that's a good question. I'm inclined to say no, but do you? I mean, I don't have. Do you have any knowledge of metabolism for CBD?
I know for
I mean, I know
liver
you've got some
liver,
P450
yes.
things.
For P450,
So,
the,
but on LDN side, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure about on the LDN side as well, but for the CBD side, P enzyme 450 is because CBD is metabolized out through your liver. If you are on a statin, you do want to go in at a lower dose. It won't turn off the effects of your statin, not full spectrum. Typically, any side effects or conversations that have happened where a statin stops working have all been attributed to a CBD isolate. It's because of the way it's been formulated, because of that solvent and that extraction method and how it's designed. We've seen certain studies of, I think it was like 248 studies total, of where CBD isolate or a CO2 extracted product would decrease the benefit or stop the statin medication from working. In the 4 years that we've been doing full spectrum CBD with our products, we haven't seen one case. So, and it's really important because of the way that the product is actually extracted and formulated. Beyond that, what we say is if you are on a statin is that you go in at a lower level. And you do that because you want them to play in the same sandbox. So you want them to kind of like, hi, I'm here. Is it okay? And then, you're allowed. It's that kind of thing. So we always say 5 milligram or the 100 milligram tincture, which we have, or even the 250 would be fine. But you can start lower and then do your testing normally with your doctor, because your doctor will test you, I think it's every 6 to 8 weeks or something like that, or maybe it's 3 months on the blood
Sometimes
test.
It's 3 months, yeah.
Yeah, and then you'll start to see if it's, but that's how we approach it, and how other partners like John Kim approaches it, and John Herr, and these guys are doing it, and they're not seeing a decrease in their performance of their medication.